Coming up on this Friday edition of Daybreak, Korea and Belgium agree to boost their partnerships in trade, science, technology and initiatives in the developing world. During President Park's visit to Brussels, 5 European companies pledge investment totaling $370 million in Korea. In an unexpected decision, the European Central Bank slashes its key interest rate to a record low 0.25%, down 1/4 percentage point. The move reflects rising concerns over deflation and the weak economic recovery in the eurozone. Plus, at a rare public hearing, Britain's top intelligence officials defend their surveillance activities, saying US whistleblower Edward Snowden's revelations have caused great damage and risks to their operations. Daybreak begins now.
You're watching Daybreak on Friday, November 8th. I'm Choi Yusun in Seoul. President Park Geun-hye is currently in Brussels on the third and final leg of her European trip. And on Thursday, she held a bilateral summit with the Belgian Prime Minister, where the two leaders focused on boosting economic cooperation. Our presidential correspondent Oh Jin-ju reports.
President Park's bilateral talks with Belgian Prime Minister Elio Di Rupo Thursday were mainly focused on boosting economic cooperation. Korea and Belgium agreed to expand their bilateral trade volume, which currently stands at $3.7 billion and investment based on the Korea-EU Free Trade Agreement. In particular, Korea has attracted a total of $370 million in foreign investment from 5 leading European companies, including Belgian chemical firm Solvay, which will build a manufacturing factory worth $110 million in Saemangeum, a tidal flat on Korea's west coast. The two nations also signed an MOU to carry out joint development projects in third markets, such as Congo, Rwanda, and Vietnam. And to lay the foundation for cooperation in the sector of the creative economy, Korea and Belgium will push ahead with negotiations to set up a joint committee on science technology and to sign a cooperative agreement in this field. Earlier in the day, at a meeting with Korean and Belgian scientists and businessmen, President Park emphasized Europe was a crucial partner in realizing a creative economy. The president wrapped up her first day in Brussels by attending a dinner banquet hosted by King Felipe. On Friday, the last day of her Europe tour, President Park is scheduled to hold summit talks with leaders of the European Council and EU Commission. They're expected to adopt a joint declaration, with this year marking the 50th anniversary of diplomatic ties, setting a vision for future cooperation. Oh Jin-ju, Arirang News, Brussels.
Staying on the diplomatic front, despite the frosty atmosphere, Korea, China, and Japan held their first trilateral talks in 18 months to discuss ways to boost three-way cooperation. Korean Deputy Foreign Minister Lee Kyung-soo met with his Chinese and Japanese counterparts in Seoul for the 8th such annual meeting, which has been serving as one of the main diplomatic channels between the three countries. The three countries agreed on the importance of a leaders' summit, but failed to come up with a specific time frame. The leaders of the three countries have yet to meet together this year due to diplomatic tensions over territorial and historical issues between Beijing and Tokyo and between Seoul and Tokyo. North Korea claims to have caught a South Korean spy who entered Pyongyang with the purpose of inciting dissent. The North Security Ministry said the captured South Korean is presumed to be a member of the South's National Intelligence Service. It said the agent confessed to have come from South Korea and had been working in neighboring countries under the guise of religious purposes. The South Korean government has refuted the claims as groundless. Thursday was a big exam day for high school seniors and others trying to get into college here in Korea. And the most crucial 9 hours of their academic life that could decide the choice of colleges and future jobs came to an end, and Kim Ji-yeon was at the scene to talk to students and parents alike.
The long day exam has come to an end. As students walked out of the test site, some looked exhausted while others looked relieved that the test was finally over. Many test takers and experts say one of the two English versions of this year's test, along with its math section, ended up being more difficult than a mock test that was released in September. But that's in the past now. All the test takers can do now is wait until November 27th when the results will be announced.
I feel very lightheaded and also very regretful. I studied a lot for the math section, but I don't think it paid off.
The test was so difficult. I feel sorry for my mom, who encouraged me and expected more from me because I feel like I have failed her.
Parents who were anxiously waiting outside the gate greeted their kids who had all just gotten through a very stressful day.
My child has done her best to prepare for this test, so I believe that there will be good results.
More than 650,000 students took the college entrance exam this year at 1,257 test venues across the country. There were many efforts nationwide to help the students take the test. Police officers and local authorities gave students who were running late to their test sites a lift. In order to ease the traffic burden for test takers this morning, offices, banks, and even the country's stock market opened at 10 a.m., 1 hour later than usual. And flights coming in and out of the country were temporarily restricted during the listening portion of the exam, all in an attempt to lend a helping hand on this very important day.
Today is one of the most important days for hundreds of thousands of high school seniors in this country who have been dedicating the past several years of their lives on getting the best possible results on the college entrance exam. In Korea, over 70% of high school graduates enter college, and the university they go to has a significant impact on the rest of their careers. Kim Jeon, Arirang News.
The employment rate of foreigners living in Korea is on the decline despite the rise in their overall population during the same period. Statistics Korea says the number of foreigners working in the country reached 760,000 this May, which is down 3.5 percentage points from June the previous year. Experts attribute the decline to 67,000 overseas Koreans and temporary or irregular foreign workers leaving the country because their 5-year working visa terms had expired. The data shows nearly half of all non-Koreans employed in May were working in the manufacturing sector.
If you want the latest news from Korea and around the world.
Return to the negotiation.
President Park Geun-hye plans, given the current circumstances.
On your way to work or at home.
Defense Ministry. The legislature will convene a.
Tune into Daybreak on Arirang TV.
Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said Tuesday the European Central Bank has cut eurozone interest rates by 0.25 percentage point to a new record low of 0.25%. The move comes after a surprise drop in eurozone inflation to 0.7% in October, its lowest level since January of 2010, and well below the ECB's target of just under 2%. Immediately following the announcement, the euro fell against the greenback to $1.33. The bank last cut its rate in May. Britain's spy chiefs gave public televised testimony to British lawmakers for the first time on a Thursday amid a fierce debate over intelligence tactics following allegations of spying on other governments. The hearing by a parliamentary committee was called in the aftermath of the release of documents by former U.S. security contractor Edward Snowden. The documents indicated Washington and London had established intelligence gathering posts around the world. They also said both countries used sophisticated eavesdropping equipment to intercept the personal communications of top Western leaders and politicians. The head of MI6, Sir John Sauer, said the leaks had damaged national security by alerting targets and adversaries to Britain's capabilities. The televised proceeding had a 2-minute delay in case one of the officials inadvertently revealed a state secret. Talks between Iran and world powers on Tehran's disputed nuclear program have begun in Geneva, with both sides expressing cautious optimism. The 5 permanent UN Security Council members, plus Germany, also known as P5+1, opened 2 days of talks with Iran on Thursday. The world powers are expected to demand Iran immediately stop development of its nuclear program in exchange for a limited lifting of sanctions. The U.S. has confirmed some sanctions relief is being offered in return for concrete, verifiable measures to address international concerns, but that the core sanctions architecture would remain. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says such a deal would be a historic mistake, allowing Iran to retain the capabilities to make nuclear weapons. It has been 2 years and 8 months since Japan's Fukushima nuclear power plant was hit by the devastating March 2011 quake and tsunami. And starting next week, Japan will start to dismantle the crippled nuclear reactors. The plant's operator, TEPCO, says nuclear engineers will start transporting more than 1,500 uranium fuel rods from a pool inside the number 4 reactor building to another pool 100 meters away. Reactor number 4 was not in operation at the time when the earthquake struck, but hydrogen from reactor number 3 escaped into the building and exploded, tearing the roof off and leaving it vulnerable to natural disasters. Japan plans to dismantle reactors 1, 2, and 3 starting from 2015. The entire process is expected to take a jaw-dropping 40 years. Concerns have been growing about the health risks associated with waves of dust and smog blowing in from eastern China. The poor air quality has sparked a surge in sales of protective face masks here in Korea. Our Paul Lee has more.
The sight of people tightly wrapping a mask around their face has become ever more common in Korea, as clouds of dust particles move eastward across Asia.
When the Asian dust and smog blow in from China, my breathing gets weak. That's why I have to wear a mask.
The heavy air and hazy conditions have led to a dramatic increase in sales of special masks designed to filter out dust and other pollutants. According to online retailer G-Market, the combined sales of these protective face masks grew more than 6-fold during the last week of October on year. Sales have also increased for other products such as specialized soap and detergent aimed at washing away bacteria and heavy metals carried by the toxic dust. Dust-proof windshield wipers have been seeing higher sales, while air filters have been a huge hit with consumers as well.
I worry a lot about my children and possible respiratory problems they can develop. That's why I'm here to buy an air washer or purifier.
Data provided by Lotte Mart show that sales of hand sanitizers nearly doubled in late October on month, followed by increasing demand for air purifiers, car wash supplies, and mouthwash. Meanwhile, investors have taken notice of this booming biomedical industry. Shares of local Korean health companies such as Winix and Soko made gains of 4 to 8% at the beginning of this week's trading. Forecasts predict that the flow of fine dust particles from China will intensify as temperatures continue to drop, likely giving another boost in sales amid growing health concerns. Paul Yi, Arirang News.
Korea's Arirang Chamber Orchestra has performed all around the world in places like Hong Kong, Japan, Germany, and the U.S., and even Korea's presidential office. It has also added one of Korea's premier concert halls to the list, the Seoul Arts Center. But as our Itaeo reports, this group isn't your average orchestra.
The sound of beautiful music rings through the halls of the Seoul Arts Center in southern Seoul. The source of the music seems to be a typical orchestra, but a closer look reveals that these are some very special performers who are hard at work. They are the members of the Arirang Chamber Orchestra, the featured performers of the Hope Concert.
Our orchestra started in 1999, so we've been performing for 14 years already. We're comprised of students with mental and intellectual disabilities.
Although these students have many challenges to overcome in their daily lives, Through music, they are able to break through these barriers and learn to express themselves. And when those boundaries are broken, they are just like any other ordinary teenagers.
좀 너무 기대되고 얼마나 TV에 얼마나 많이 뜰지 너무 기대돼요.
좋아요.
왜 좋으세요?
같이 연주 활동을 할 수 있어서요.
For the performers and the audience alike, it's much more than the bright lights and the big stage. It's about harmony, excitement, the whole experience.
As a member of the Sarang Chamber Orchestra, my son has become much more tender and enjoys himself very much. As we've watched this transformation, we've felt a sense of healing.
이태호, Arirang News.
And TGI Friday, everyone, as we kick things off with the ongoing controversy in the WK League regarding Seoul City Hall's Park Eun-sun. Now, as promised, the team held a press conference on Thursday and opened up regarding the issue. And after the press conference, one of the 6 managers who threatened to boycott the season, Suwon FMC head coach Lee Sung-gyun, apologized for his remarks regarding Park Eun-sun and resigned from his position effective immediately. However, despite all this, the team plans to file a human rights violation lawsuit on those involved in the incident. Now, shockingly, the 6 managers also added that this was supposed to be a joke amongst each other privately, angering more fans who've been following this incident very closely. And on a brighter note, Lee Hyun-jin, who is back here in Korea, began his busy off-season schedule with a friendly game of baseball against a celebrity baseball team on Thursday night. Now, Lee's team HJ99, which consists of some of his closest people, took on Choma Choma, a famous celebrity baseball team here in Korea, with the lefty hitting cleanup and playing first base. However, with his older brother struggling as the starting pitcher, giving up 6 runs in the first inning, Lee Hyun-jin comes into relief and pitches 3 2/3 innings, striking out 4 and giving up no runs. Now, he would also add a triple in the game as well as HJ99 beat Choma Choma 15-13. And shifting over to the South Korean national football team, who's set to face off against Switzerland later this month. However, with the cold winters coming ahead, they're planning to go overseas to train starting January. Now, with Hong Myung-bo and crew preparing for the upcoming Brazil World Cup, it was reported that Korea will be facing off against Mexico on January 30th at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. However, with Mexico's World Cup qualification still uncertain, nothing is set yet, despite ads of ticket sales already going out in Texas. And now moving on to some Thursday night KBL action, as we had 2 games take place last night. Now, the struggling Seoul Samsung Thunders were able to pull off a win against the Goyang Orions 69-64 thanks to Michael Dunnigan's 16 points and 12 rebounds. So with that said, let's take a look at the other game that took place last night. Anyang KGC taking on the Seoul SK Knights. Of course, going into the game here, SK off to a great start thanks to Aaron Haynes, who puts up 8 points in the first quarter as SK takes a commanding 24-17 lead after the first quarter before heading into halftime with a 36-26 lead. But in the third quarter of the game, Yang Hee-jong goes absolutely insane from the field, scoring 13 points as KGC cuts the deficit to 48-47 going into the fourth quarter. But KGC starts cooling down when it matters as Choi Boo-kyung leads the way for SK in the fourth as the SK Knights hang on to take this game 64-59. And finishing things off with Thursday night's V-League action as IBK beat Hyundai Hillstate 3-1 over on the women's side thanks to Karina Acasio's 25-point game. So with that said, let's shift over to the men's side as Hyundai Capital Skywalkers took on KEPCO Vic Storm. Now going into the game here, Hyundai looking great in this game, take the first two sets, 25-22 and 25-23. Before KEPCO takes the third set, 26-24. But with Liberman Agomez putting up 30 attack points on the night, Hyundai storms past KEPCO in the fourth set, 25-23, as Hyundai remains undefeated to start off the season. And with all that said, that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great weekend, everyone, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Happy Friday morning to you. I'm Lee Ji-hyun with your latest weather forecast. Well, what a cold morning. Temperature plunged overnight to single digits in most regions, making the coldest morning of this season so far. And afternoon highs will only soar into mid to upper teens in most regions. And so as the indicator shows, the cold activity level will be very high today. So be sure to take good care of yourself to not to get sick by dressing warmly and wash your hands frequently. But we are starting out under clear skies with tons of sunshine. Then a few clouds might be rolling in later in the day. Now tomorrow, skies will be cloudy in advance of the scattered rain showers moving in during the later afternoon and evening hours. But temperatures should be a few degrees higher than today. And we do expect to receive a few lingering showers till Sunday morning. And Sunday will be very cold day, especially in the Seoul metro area. Digits staying in the single digits all day long. So keep that in mind and plan ahead for your weekend. With that, it's time to take a look at the readings for today. The afternoon high in Seoul will make it to 14 degrees Celsius, which is 57 degrees in Fahrenheit. And Daegu and Gwangju will get up to 17 respectively, while Busan will see a high of 19 under lots of sun. Let's see how other regions are looking. It looks like Jeju will reach 17 in the afternoon with mostly sunny skies, and Daejeon and Dokdo will top out at 15 and 13, while Mount Keungang starting out in the morning at -7 and topping out at 7 later in the day. Now that's all for Korea, and here's the global forecast for viewers around the world. That's all for me at this hour. Enjoy your morning commute and hope you have a wonderful Friday. And don't forget to join me again for another updates at noon.
And those are the stories we have for you at this hour. Stay with us throughout the day as we bring you the latest headlines.